year, it just looks like your batters were pretty patient, and your pitchers weren't afraid to pitch inside. Is that kind of what you like? Is that the optimum style of those core principles been preached here in this process leading up?
Sure. Yeah. Offensively, we consider ourselves a super run scoring unit, not a bunch of independent contractors. And I think a lot of times nowadays kids go up to the plate not thinking about being connected with the other guys in the lineup, and you've got a job to do until you reach home plate, and more just trying to get their best swing off for Twitter. And that's just a mistake, because this is team baseball and we're playing team offense. And so having that dynamic balance of speed and power has been a staple of all of our teams at Michigan. And when we've had that combination, we've scored a lot of runs because we could weaponize the long ball, the stolen base, just putting pressure on teams. I wouldn't say we bunt a lot, but we certainly have it in our arsenal and we can utilize it. And that's just the thing. You just never want to be a one-dimensional offense. You don't want to only be able to score when you hit the 3-run homer. You want to be able to score in a lot of ways, because there's going to be plenty of days where the wind's blowing in, or you're facing a really tough pitcher, or you're playing at a huge ballpark and the home run's not available. And so they've really bought into that idea of thinking more of the offense about scoring runs than about swings.
And then from the pitching standpoint, I think you guys were up there among hitting batters, but that's not always a bad thing.
Well, that was more out of necessity last year. We probably, pointing the thumb, mistakenly put too much of a target on developing the stuff and not really harnessing the command, which is why Coach Bellinger has been such a breath of fresh air, just because he harps on it daily about command and throwing strikes. But it's very easy in today's age to get caught up in technology, and there's some bullpens that I've seen online. It looks like they're launching a rocket, not throwing a bullpen, and so it's some kids get caught up in that, some coaches get caught up in that. I'd say we got caught up in that a little bit too much last year, more on developing the movement of the pitches, whether it was induced vertical break or horizontal break, more so than this is college baseball, and command wins. And so we shifted at the end of the year, and we're just going to pitch inside and we're going to attack, and more of a mindset thing, and it suited us. It suited the personality of the team.
How familiar were you with Jimmy when you first got this job, and why did you specifically target him?
So Jimmy tells the story of when he was a 23-year-old recruiting coordinator at Monmouth. He couldn't rent a car yet, and so he would bum rides from other coaches, and so I guess he hit me up and got in a car going to the next event or the next field. I don't remember that, but I got to know Jimmy's work when I left Maryland for Michigan. Coach Sheff, Jimmy Bellinger, and Matt Swope, that was the staff that took over. And so seeing how well Jimmy did going to 2 super regionals with that Maryland team, and really just taking them to unprecedented heights, and then seeing what he did at Kentucky, super regional in year 1, and then his team to Florida State, and all 3 weekend starters on Team USA. It was always uncomfortable playing his teams. We played at Michigan, we played Maryland, and we played Kentucky, and it just was smothering. It just was always uncomfortable because their staff would just pound the strike zone. And now I've got to see that firsthand this year, and seeing our players be the benefactors of it.
Coach, Riley Bertram has played for you for a long time. Tell us a little bit about him and what he will bring to this team.
Riley's a winner. He's the youngest of 4 brothers. He's tough. He's that how to win awareness gene. He's got it. And whatever he lacks in tools and physicality, he makes up for with tremendous baseball IQ, tremendous baseball savvy and smarts. He's got a knack for performing in the clutch. He's just very mentally tough, very consistent, plays very good defense, and he's a leader. He's a talker. He's vocal out there. He's just a winning player, and he makes winning plays. And so having him come over to Clemson was something that was very important for us. And helping solidify an infield. We didn't know at the time that Ben Blackwell was coming back, but now that Ben is back and we've got an infield like we have with Blake Wright, Ben Blackwell, Riley Bertram, Caden Rice. I mean, I'd put our infield up athletically and from an experience and talent standpoint up with anybody. They've been very dynamic, very good, and Riley's one of those guys that's just out there talking, and it's the little things. It's something as simple as a catch or throw going away, getting into center field, but he's holding the tag on the runner, or a guy's stealing a base and a pop fly goes up and he's pretending to turn a double play to get the runner to slide. I mean, he's just all these little things that would never show up in the scorebook. He's just really good at all of those.
How has Cooper Ingles helped, and kind of what role do you anticipate him starting the year in?
So Cooper is still coming back from the arm, and I'd say there are days kind of like Will Taylor where he's 100% and looks awesome and looks amazing, looks dynamic, but I don't envision that he's going to be able to catch every single game back there. There's going to be plenty of days where he needs somebody to step in and give him a break. And luckily we have Jacob Jarrell, who's a very good freshman player that has come in and really developed and done a very nice job with the pitching staff, and he has a receiver and a thrower, and he's got some pop in his bat. So you're going to see Jacob Jarrell in there a lot. Obviously Cooper is an elite hitter, has some of the best bat-to-ball skills of anyone in college baseball, but he's not going to be able to catch every single game, at least early on.
We're not catching the DHs probably.
Yeah, it all.
Matchups.
Well, no, he's that type of player, but it all is making sure he's healthy and feels good. But yeah, you would think so.
Is there anybody else that will be limited or not available this weekend?
We have, I think, like everyone has, we have some bumps and nicks and bruises and guys still progressing back, but there's nothing that is alarming that's going to keep anyone out for an extended period of time. But like any college team, nobody's ever 100% all the time. So we're not 100% right now, but it's not going to be anything that's going to stop us from competing at a high level.
Jack Leggett's somebody you brought back into the program. What does his role look like since he's been back? What has he added?
Well, Coach Leggett, his fingerprints are all over the stadium, all over this program. His title is program development, and I'd say that's the all-encompassing role because he touches every aspect of the program. He can't coach on the field, but he can coach the coaches. And he's been very instrumental in just passing along those words of wisdom and those nuggets that for our coaching staff, just because he's seen so much baseball, not only on this field, but in college baseball. But he can also be a mentor to the players, and he can give them those same words of wisdom and advice, just more life skills, and just referencing back to some of the players on the teams that he's had. And then all those players that he coached for 24 years, those guys, having Coach Leggett re-engage with the program means 24 years worth of Clemson baseball alumni are also re-engaged with the program. And it just feels like this Clemson family and this Clemson baseball family is reconnected at the highest level possible right now.
In getting to know these players over the last few months, what do you think is one quality that all of them possess that you think will really help them succeed in the field this year?
Personally, I just appreciate their buy-in and their all-in buy-in. They have all, there's plenty of guys out there that have credentials that are, returning starters or earned preseason accolades, but they've all been willing to make adjustments, to try new things. This fall was different because there was a huge focus of their development off the field, in the community, academically, shifting the target off of them as baseball players and putting it on other people and serving other people. And that part of that could be COVID related, where there weren't many opportunities the last few years to get out in the community, but not many of them have had the chance to do that. And they did it eagerly with a smile and could see just how beneficial it was to get engaged with this Clemson community, from young kids reading in schools to assisted living to last week's Night to Shine to everything in between. It's just been phenomenal.
What do you feel good about? Maybe what do you still have questions about heading into opening
I feel good about our talent. I feel good about our preparation. I feel good about everything we've done to get our team ready to play. The question mark I have is the response to adversity, and that's every coach's question because we just haven't seen it. We saw a little bit of a, just looking at last year's stats and seasons past, where a little bit of a roller coaster, you know, and just want to see them be able to respond when something bad happens on the field, and we've really tackled that in a very good way, just with the ability to say good. You know, we're not that bad that we need every call from the umpires. We're not that bad that we need every ball to bounce our way. And so just getting them to understand that we're going to take that gut punch, we're going to get hit in the face, but we're going to get up when we get knocked down and keep moving forward. It's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to be about it and do it. So that's the one thing I'm excited to see, is all this mental toughness training, all this, you know, really pushing their limits and their boundaries and getting them out of their comfort zone and getting them comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm excited to see how it shows up on the field when we're trailing in the 8th or the 9th, or, you know, the team jumps out to an early lead, or, you know, guys feel like they're getting, you know, they're on the wrong side of a lot of calls. You know, let's see our response there.
How much fun is this weather for you? I imagine in Ann Arbor it was a bit of a challenge filling the stands in early mid-February.
Yeah. Well, we weren't playing in Ann Arbor in mid-February, but I can't believe it. I was actually hoping we would get some cold weather days, some rainy days, something where we could actually train in the adverse weather, but the good Lord didn't dial that up. He dialed up sunny and 60s, and what's today, 67 and sunny, so it's been amazing. I can't believe how good the weather is down here, and it's, you know, but I've said this a million times too. The bad weather at Michigan is what made those teams tough, and if we didn't have the bad weather, we would not have been as good as we were because we embraced it.
So do you need something like that down here? Like, how do you instill that toughness without that adverse element?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm excited to see how we handle the gut punch, because the ACC is going to be an absolute slugfest. You got heavyweights going at it all the time, and there's a lot of close games in this conference. Just having spent 11 years in the ACC and the SEC, everybody's good. Everybody's well coached. Everybody's got dudes. And how are you going to be able to handle the adversity and be able to get back up when you get knocked down and be able to come back, fight, scratch, claw your way back into a game when you get behind? So those are the ways that we're going to be challenged, I'd say, more so than a snowy day in Clemson, South Carolina.
Expectations are a thing that outsiders want to talk about, and where you can finish in standings and accomplishments you can have throughout the year. How do you manage that with your guys in your role? What is your approach to handling expectations of you know, accomplishing things, not just wins and losses?
Yeah, I mean, well, personally, I think the College World Series is the standard for Clemson baseball, and we shouldn't deviate from that, even though we haven't been since 2012. Clemson baseball is still Clemson baseball. It's a blue blood. We're working very hard to restore Clemson baseball to its rightful place on top of college baseball. So you have the long-term goal. We want to win the program's first ever national championship. And if we don't do that, we at least finish the season in Omaha where we belong. And then you scale it all the way back down to just the power of one. You know, one day, one game, one inning, one pitch, one meeting, one breath, one rep, one whatever, and just put your focus on that in the moment and just keep getting better. Because we're going to need all those opportunities to grow and improve if we're going to be an Omaha team at the end. Nobody's going to Omaha this month. But that's how we do it. We know where the destination is, but then we keep the target squarely in front of us. Whatever we're doing right now is the most important thing we're doing.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.